What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into Weird Al Yankovic's studio catalog. I'm doing this as a tribute to Dr. Demento, who recently, as of the filming of this, is retiring. I listened to his radio show every Sunday night when I was growing up in the late 70s, early 80s. I think he is partly responsible for me appreciating the absurd, probably, in music and life and everything. And so because I was not familiar with Weird Al, I thought I would dive into his catalog now. And I'm finding that these are pretty easy listens. It's summertime for me. I have a lot of free time. Also, this is easy stuff to listen to when I'm doing other stuff. So, yeah, I'm on album number 5, Even Worse. I'm going to talk about this one, not play music. Then I'm going to rank it among all the others. So, after number 4, got to the point where I was like, okay, and I know that he has a career. I've seen him live right before COVID or maybe it was longer than that, like 10 years ago at an Austin festival here. I know he's still making parodies that are relevant to pop culture. But after the 4th one, I mentioned that if you would ask me in real time how long his career would have been, if that was like the current state of the product, the quality of the product, I would have said not very long, because I thought the albums 3 and 4 were pretty uninspired and pretty much just him like finding a song that was a hit on the charts and then just saying, hey, this song's hot, I got to do a parody of this. So the results were not always that interesting. This album, things get more interesting. Some of the parodies are still like but I think there's a couple songs on here that are like originals that I think are pretty good. There's a parody that I do think is pretty good. So this one's a little bit a step up from 3 and 4. And I think this is the one that kind of helped him get big, because the opening parody on here is a parody of Michael Jackson's Bad, Fat. The entire album is a parody of Bad. The photograph on the cover is, him as the Bad Michael Jackson album. So Even Worse. So the whole thing is, Michael Jackson inspired. But it's interesting because the opening song is fat. I'm fat. I'm fat. I'm really, really fat, which is essentially just a bunch of fat jokes. Probably the highlight of the entire song is when he does this "shame on," this little Michael Jackson impersonation that's just kind of funny. There's another song on here called Lasagna, which is about lasagna. It's to La Bamba. The La Bamba was big at this time because the movie had come out and Los Lobos had a hit with it. So the Richie Valens song. But it opens up with like this Italian music accordion intro. And then it's essentially a bunch of like, with a somewhat bad Italian accent, a bunch of like Italian food references. And then there's another song on here called Melanie, which is about a stalker, just about this guy who's stalking this girl, and things go to extreme levels, of course, and there's humor in it. But I think it's interesting because Fat was a big deal. The video was a big deal. It was a big hit. I think he won a Grammy for it, I think this was a really big song for Weird Al. And I just don't see that happening now, at least not in the United States in 2025. Like, I think people would be upset about the Melanie song. I think the lasagna sort of Italian impersonations, because I don't think, maybe he is Italian. I don't know. Know nothing about him. Fat, I don't think would be acceptable today. And I'm listening to this and like, I could understand the critiques, but having now gone 5 albums into Weird Al's catalog, there's not a hint of meanness in this guy's like character. Like, none of this stuff comes across as mean or like distasteful. Part of the problem is even when he has jokes that are a little bit harder, like there's a song on here. No, I think it was the last song. No, it's the last song on this album, Good Old Days, that just gets really, really dark at one point, like super dark. But even when he goes super dark, it just feels lighthearted and whimsical and fun. And so I think that's both a credit to Weird Al that he's able to do that no matter what. But I also think it's like what ultimately makes the music maybe not that consistently rewarding. Like the song on here that I think is maybe one of the best ones on here is "This Song's Just," parentheses, 6 words long. And it's a parody of George Harrison's "I Got My Mind Set on You." So the chorus is, "This song's just 6 words long." And there's more words in the song, but the song explains how you write a song and you repeat phrases and then it's mocking the song that it's a parody of. And I think those are the songs that kind of work the best. There's another song on here called "I Think I'm a Clone Now," which is a parody of Tiffany and Tommy James's "I Think I'm Alone Now." The Tiffany version was big in like 85 or 86. Maybe it was later than that. But I thought before I heard the song that "I Think I'm a Clone Now" would maybe be a commentary on the Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, young female singer type thing being marketed and all that stuff. And "I Think I'm a Clone Now." But it's not. It's literally about cloning people. But I think, and so because it's about cloning people, it's really just makes me want to hear the original. And this is the Tiffany version because it has that sort of synth pop production that the Tiffany version has, as opposed to like the more pure rock version of Tommy James original. But I thought that was a failed opportunity. Like, I think if he had more of those songs which took it to some next level, they would be more interesting, because the music is well executed. He's really thorough with his lyrics. He's a good performer and he's engaging. I'm always, there just needs to be one other level in some of these songs. And I think I realize that that's ultimately why I'm just like, why some of this works and some of it doesn't. Back to the songs. Fat opens up. It's just a bunch of fat jokes. Stuck in a Closet with Vanna White. It's about having, like, talking to maybe your doctor or your psychiatrist about all these crazy dreams you're having. And it's a bunch of just wacky scenarios that Weird Al sort of specializes in. But it's an 80s hard rock song that actually, like, it doesn't really compare to, like, I mean, more of in the vein of like a Rat or maybe even an 80s Scorpions or maybe a Motley Crue, that kind of vein. It's ultimately not as hard or heavy as any of that, but it's a pretty good attempt. And I think Weird Al should get props for executing it. This song's just 6 words long. I think it's by far the best thing on here. Really good performance, and it's commentary on the song itself, so it works. You Make Me is this Oingo Boingo inspired, crazy, chaotic, circusy mess. Some nice guitar work that kind of works just because the Oingo Boingo execution is good, and how many people who weren't alive in the 80s listening to music remember who Oingo Boingo are. Right? They're not pretty popular, are they? Or even still relevant. Danny Elfman is, but then we get "I Think I'm a Clone Now," which sounds just like the 80s pop song, which much to its both credit and detriment. Lasagna, that Italian La Bamba with a bunch of food references. Melanie, the song about a stalker, which is a nice breezy pop vibe. Musically, it's pretty engaging, but it's still kind of the same trope where things start off on one level and they just get more and more extreme. In this case, it's about a guy who is admiring a girl and becomes a stalker, and it becomes more and more extreme. A second Tommy James song, "Moni Moni." This is the Billy Idol version, which he had a hit single with his live performance of it. This is live alimony. It's about, a wife demanding alimony be paid. A song called "Velvet Elvis," which is about the Velvet Elvis paintings. It's to sort of the style of The Police. There's a little bit of like early, almost like Roxanne-ish type ska type stuff. And then we go into kind of every little thing she does is magic, a little more like, new wavy. And then we go into some really nice Synchronicity 2 jamming. Touch on like the 3 sort of quintessential Police eras in a really good way. In a song about a Velvet Elvis painting. So I think this one kind of works just because the Police journey is really fun. A song called "Twister," which is like a Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill type rap with like using guitar riffs and stuff like that. It's like a minute long. It's just about the game Twister. It might even be just the instructions from the game Twister, but it's really cool because at the very end, after the beat drops, he goes, "From MB, Milton Bradley." I thought that was a nice little touch. And then the last song is this James Taylor, Southern California, soft rock acoustic vibe, a little touch of Loggins and Messina's "House on Pooh Corner" in there in the melody. But it's just this actually a really well-written song in the style of like a 70s singer-songwriter. And and it's about what were the good old days about? All I know is memories of things in the past, and it gets really dark and twisted, like really dark at one point. You're like, wow. I mean, does not match the music, but that's the whole point of the thing. But actually, a pretty good song. I mean, a pretty good song musically, actually, for a Weird Al like contribution. Rick Derringer again produces this and plays guitar, which I think is just fascinating. But yeah, I enjoyed this album much more than I did 3 and 4. Though if I were to rank it, I have it right in the middle at 3. I still think the first 2 are better. The second one is just inspired more so than the last 3. And the first one is the most homegrown, a lot of accordion. It has the most just kind of like amateurish quality, but that's very charming for Weird Al, so that works. But yeah, that's where I would rank it. That's all I got. Been enjoying this. This has been a fun little deep dive. This one's kind of inspired me to keep going. Looking forward to see what's coming up next. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Peace. Talk to you later.